All right, today we're diving into something really cool. Rhonda Byrne's Countdown to Riches. We're going to break down her 21-day wealth challenge into a super practical, step-by-step guide that you can literally start the second this is over.
You know that constant feeling of financial pressure? It's so easy to point the finger at our job, right? Or the insane cost of living, our debts. But what if those aren't the real reasons we struggle? What if the actual root of the problem is hiding somewhere else completely?
Well, Rhonda Byrne's answer is, wow, it's simple, but it's also pretty radical. She says, and I quote, "Financial struggle is caused by our thoughts alone." Now hold on, this isn't about pretending your bills don't exist. It's about this huge idea that our internal world, what we think and feel about money, is actually what creates our external reality. So let's really dig into the philosophy behind this claim, because it's a big one.
Okay, so the core philosophy here, this is way more than just thinking positive. It's not about slapping a happy sticker on a bad situation. The book talks about wealth as a mindset, almost like a fundamental law of the universe, like gravity. It's about making a conscious choice to shift from a reality that's all about scarcity, everything you don't have, to one that's built on abundance and wealth.
The main idea is that we're basically living in what you could call a mental universe. Think of it like this. Your thoughts are the cause and your life is the effect. This universal law that she talks about, it's like a cosmic copy machine. It just takes whatever you're thinking about most, good or bad, and materializes it in your life. It doesn't judge, it doesn't have an opinion, it just delivers.
And this is where everything gets flipped on its head. Most of us are taught to think, okay, when I get more money, then I'll finally feel wealthy, right? But this approach says, nope, that's completely backward. Your mind has to become wealthy first. You have to actually cultivate the feeling of wealth right now, in this moment. And only then will the outside world start to match what's going on inside.
So the big question is, how do we actually do this? Well, the 21-day challenge breaks it down into 3 phases. And phase 1, days 1 through 7, is basically the demolition crew. It's all about tearing down those old, rusty beliefs about scarcity that we've probably been carrying around our entire lives.
And this first week is super practical. Step 1, you get laser focused on what you actually want. You make a wish list. Step 2, you start this crazy powerful mental trick of reframing every single payment as money you're getting. And yeah, we'll talk more about that one in a bit. And finally, step 3, you start installing new beliefs, using affirmations to literally overwrite that old default programming that says, nope, can't afford it.
All right, so once you've started clearing out all that old junk, we move into phase 2. This is for days 8 to 14, and it's all about becoming a magnet for wealth. This is the fun part.
This is where you really start generating that positive vibe, that frequency of abundance. How? Through things like daily gratitude, which supposedly multiplies the money you have. You make a vision board to make your goals feel real, something you can almost touch. But the most important piece? You practice the feeling of already having it. It's all about tuning yourself, like a radio, to the frequency where you're ready to receive.
And that brings us to the final phase, the home stretch, days 15 to 21. This is all about integration. It's where you take everything you've been doing for the past 2 weeks and make it your new normal. You're not just, visiting abundance anymore. You're moving in permanently. So in this last week, you're cementing that new mindset. You start to act as if you're already wealthy in your day-to-day choices. You start thinking bigger, looking at a 5-year plan for what you want to bring into your life. And maybe most importantly, you learn to remember your power, to constantly remind yourself that you are the one in the driver's seat of your financial reality.
Okay, so across this whole 21-day journey, Rhonda Byrne points to 2 habits that are like the absolute non-negotiables. If you do nothing else, you do these. Why? Because they're designed to create the biggest, fastest shifts in your mindset.
The first one is this incredible mental judo move. You have to turn every single expense into income. Seriously, every time you pay for gas, groceries, your rent, instead of feeling that little pang of, money's gone, you deliberately, consciously imagine you're receiving that exact amount. You're completely flipping the script on what it means to spend money.
And to really crank this up a notch, you don't just imagine getting the amount you spent. You add a 0 to it. So that $85 for gas, boom, you just received $850. That $1,200 rent check, cha-ching, you just got $12,000. What this does is it systematically rewires your brain to connect spending money with joy and abundance, not with pain and loss. It's a total game changer.
All right, the second non-negotiable is all about reprogramming your subconscious. The book gives you wealth affirmations to listen to every single night as you're falling asleep. Now, why then? It's genius, really, because as you're drifting off, your conscious mind, the one that argues and doubts everything, is starting to check out. This lets those positive money statements sneak right past the guard at the gate and plant themselves directly into your subconscious, where the real change happens.
Okay, this all sounds amazing, right? But let's be real. What's the number one reason people try this and it doesn't stick? It's the biggest hurdle of all. Letting those old, nagging thoughts of doubt and scarcity creep back in and completely sabotage all the good work you're doing.
And this is what that internal battle looks like. It's all about catching yourself. So instead of that automatic thought, I can't afford it, you consciously pivot your language. You say, you know what? I really want to go to Tahiti soon. See the difference? You're not lying to yourself or denying reality. You're just redirecting your focus, your creative power, away from what you lack and onto what you want. That tiny little shift, it's everything.
So when you boil it all down, this whole 21-day thing is really just about planting a seed. A new one. It starts so small, right? Just one different thought, one payment that you reframe, one affirmation before you fall asleep. But if you keep watering it every day with these practices, that little seed of abundance is going to grow, and eventually it'll just crowd out all those old weeds of scarcity.
So there you have it. The challenge is on the table. It's a 21-day journey of unlearning, relearning, and completely transforming how you think and feel about money. And you know what? The countdown begins the second you decide it does. So the only real question left is, what are you going to create?